hoping that I won't have any kind of like noise going on with my damn, this game was simple. This game is simple. I actually like it like this, man. It's simple. Either way, welcome to another video here where we had such a successful time actually the last week when we were talking about Callisto Protocol and its reasoning, as to why people felt the way that they felt with Callisto Protocol. Um, but now we're going to actually raise the stakes and talk about Horizon Forbidden West as well. Yes, I am playing Zero Dawn because I played this shit so much. I don't necessarily need to think while I'm talking. I don't need to really go into it. I don't need to think too deeply into it. Let me just make sure I'm there. It's good. It's good. It's good. So either way, what I would like to do is kind of talk about Horizon Forbidden West because that's been in the news. As if anyone has watched the award show, you would know that Horizon Forbidden West won nothing at all. Absolutely, positively nothing. It was nominated for a couple of things, but won nothing. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Really, really ridiculous, but it's okay though. It is okay, and I misspelled Callisto. I'll fix that later. But yeah, Horizon Forbidden West won nothing. It looks like God of War, and it looks like Elden Ring. Kind of they've taken the more major things, and I was thinking when this happened, I was like, I don't understand why Horizon and to a lesser extent Callisto Protocol gets a worse. It's scrutinized so crazy. It's like it can't make any mistake at all. It's the damnedest thing, man. Like, uh, in order for Horizon to actually, and I think it's, to be honest with you, there's a couple of things. I'll say this a little bit later. But it's like it can they cannot. Guerrilla Games cannot make a mistake. You know what I mean? But I started to realize I was like, damn, this is a Sony thing, and I don't think it is because there's some Sony games such as God of War and some other darlings from Sony that don't get the amount of scrutiny that Guerrilla Games and Horizon gets. But I started to notice a correlation between Horizon and Callisto Protocol. And I started to kind of look deeper into this, and I believe that both games actually get scrutinized the way that they do. Uh, this is where the similarities end. I think honestly, the reason why it gets scrutinized is because their highs are extremely high. Like it is really fucking high. The visual bar that they have going on with Horizon and to an extent Callisto Protocol is through the roof. It's through the roof. It is insanely high. Actually, let me just take a look at something real quick because if I have to repeat all of this shit, I am going to be furious. So they said broadcast and mic only. Let me go to broadcast. Hold on. Captures. Okay, I think I turned that shit on. So broadcast the audio. All right. And then the captures audio. All right, so we're good. All right, so we can go back to Horizon. Okay. The highs are very high, very, very high for Horizon and the Callisto Protocol. And the lows can be very low. Or sometimes they're just mediocre. And because the highs are so damn high, it makes any kind of flaw stick out like a sore thumb. That's one of Horizon's issues. You know what I mean? The visual and sound design is just through the freaking roof. It is way higher than most games. This game, well, Horizon Forbidden West, looks like a linear experience, but it's an open world coupled with day and night cycles, weather changes, and all sorts of crazy shit. This thing is doing a whole bunch, and that's my thing. The other thing that I kind of feel like Horizon kind of suffers from is the reputation from Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla Games is not a relatively young developer, you know what I mean, in terms of the name. You know, I'm sure they had a different name or a moniker uh, a bit ago, and then they changed from the Guerrilla Games. But the games that they had was, you know, they had that Shell Shock, and then they had Killzone 1, which both games were just absolutely flawed. Um, and then they had Killzone 2, which looked really nice, but then, you know, the console war was at full swing. You know what I mean? So any type of favors or anything that they were doing with Horizon, I'm sorry, with Killzone, it was kind of overshadowed by console war fodder, which was unfortunate. And this was being actually facilitated by just the general media, which was pretty crazy. The media actually, you know, um, the media actually made it so that, gotcha, bitch. The media actually made it so that people would care more about exclusives and shit like that. You know, if you want to blame somebody in terms of exclusive and how many people complain about that shit and why is it always gotta be exclusives, you want to blame the media, especially during the PS3 and Xbox 360 days. It was all about exclusives there, and it carried over for 2 generations. Now, people are the most bougie that I've ever seen. I mean, you can't drop one frame in these games nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Now the argument nowadays is pacing. People complain about pacing, which is freaking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Pacing is such a big problem with people. People are going nuts about pacing. You know, fuck the rest of the game. They're like, it just didn't pace the way I wanted to pace. It's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just, you can't make mistakes nowadays. And I don't know if it's because the game is just kind of, these games are kind of expensive. I don't know. I don't necessarily know what's going on with these complaints. But I do know that to sum up with Horizon, what's going on with Horizon, it is because its highs are really high, and that makes everything stick out that's not as high as what it has set out that is high. You know, and then the reputation of Guerrilla Games is why they are basically cursed in the gaming space. It's like people don't take them seriously at all, which is unfortunate because they've always been up there. Now, in terms of storyline, which I'll get into, maybe that's some kind of, maybe that's subjective, and you know, people may not like the story or whatever the case is, but still, like, come on, bro. Shit is crazy. Now, what does Horizon? No, I know if you're watching this on YouTube, I know this is not Forbidden West. Actually, let me post this in there too. My bad. Give me a second here. Where I put it at. All right, so I'm gonna put this in my space in case anybody just jumps in there. Yo, what's going on, CC? I see you in here. So the pros. I mean, I could just talk about the graphics for Horizon like all day and all night in terms of that. The sound design is also, you hear things within Horizon. They have to make a lot of these sounds from these machines from scratch because there's nothing like it. See, like something like God of War, and I'm not shitting on God of War. Calm down, God of War stance. But something like God of War, right? You could just go into like a soundbite situation and, you know, find a lion's voice or a lion's soundbite and kind of alter it, change the pitch, blah, 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 blah. How does a mechanical deer sound like? You know what I'm saying? What would that sound like? Or a chicken? You know, it's the fact that they had the long legs make the fax machine sound. I mean, shit like that, people just completely overlook. Also, the soundtrack for Horizon, both games has the, you know, embellish nature and technology. You know what I'm saying? So it has to have some sort of kind of like industrial or techno type vibe, but also be, you know, um, have natural orchestra or choir moments, you know, or just light singing to kind of embellish those attributes. So the game through and through is a marriage between technology and nature, even with the soundtrack, you know, and that has to be created, you know, like for God of War, you got Celtic, you know, inspirations, you know what I mean? So you can just listen to a whole bunch of Celtic music and find out in terms of RPGs, like Japanese RPGs, I mean, we already know they have orchestra, you know, bass sounds. They all have that same type of vibe, but they, you know, it's funny because Horizon needs to do a lot more work. Gorilla has to do a lot more work. Um, and going back to the art, because people think that Horizon doesn't have an art style, which is insane. How do you merge nature and highly advanced technology together and make it look like there's nothing to write home, there's nothing to see? How do you do that? And I think what they tried to do is, you know, what they attempted to do and succeeded was to make these machines resemble animals and act like animals with the animations and whatnot. So that's what ended up kind of making that look more natural, you know, instead of having like, and I think they said this too on one of the interviews. They didn't want to have it look like spidery and whatnot for the most part because, well, that's not the theme of the game. All right, cool. Shut your ass up. Sorry, I had to shoot a long leg. So you have that going on. Also, the fact that it doesn't have any bugs like that. Like it does, it's very rare to find bugs in a Horizon game. I mean, I guess this one has more bugs, but you can blame that on COVID, I guess. But it's very light on bugs. It's very tight on, you know, the gameplay. They know what they want to do with it, and in terms of Forbidden West, they knew that they wanted to make it more RPG, like, and for better or for worse, there were a lot of people that did not like that choice. Man, they wanted it to be more action oriented, but in terms of a competent RPG, where you have to, it wasn't as simple as shut your ass up. It wasn't as simple as, you know, you just shoot it with arrows or shoot it with a type and then it gets affected by a call a day. You got to mix elements together to make sure that, you know, you get the best out of these machines. So it's very tightly curated in terms of how you would actually take down these machines and whatnot. Whoever's watching, let me know if you can hear me. I can't leave out of this scenario. All right, cool. So now that we have like the pros, right? The gameplay is very tight. They know that they didn't want to make a full-on melee game, despite the fact that people were asking for it. When they made the sequel, they kind of wanted to keep it on more range time. You know what I'm saying? So, but people they wanted a more melee system, and they kind of delivered on that front. The storyline, they wanted better cutscenes. You know what I mean? Voice, what do you call it? The motion capture for the cutscenes. They made sure it was like best in the industry, on top of having best graphics. Like every complaint that you would have with the first Horizon was literally handled. Every single one. The melee, you know what I'm saying? The interactive cutscenes and whatnot. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the why you came here for. Now that we spoke about the good shit, let's talk about what's a more complicated. God, get the my bad. I'm getting killed. It's because I haven't played you in several months, man. Chill the hell out. I'm just gonna blow you up. Sorry, you gotta go. Sorry, sir. I got a podcast to run. Oh, I guess you didn't like to be blown up here. And you can see like right now as I'm playing like the first Horizon or Horizon Zero Dawn. This game is very simplistic, and I think a lot of people wanted to do that. Keep it that way. So that being said, let me pull out my notes, my handy dandy notes, and talk about what actually needs, what I feel, honestly, will be due for an improvement. Let's get some panoramics here. They needed that old vice, what you call San Andreas, where you stay still and eventually just start panning. I think that would have been cool. Anyway, I have 11 things that I believe that Horizon Forbidden West, and let me know if you do follow the YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments what you think about these things. So I mentioned before, because of how the industry is, and everyone has been babied in this industry, like it is insane the amount of babying, that people deal with. It's crazy to me that people wanted this much coddling. Here's the thing, right? People will say that the pacing for Forbidden West is poor, and depending on who you are, will make it poor. If you were trying to, if you were following the story paces without doing a side quest, then the pacing would be pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? If you were one of those people that get sidetracked very easily, then the pacing is bad. You are literally disrupting the pacing, which means that that's all subjective, which sucks. It is not the game's fault per se, right? That's one thing. How do you fix it? Well, unfortunately, they have to tighten up the controls of the developer and their story. They have to walk you through each story pace and make sure that you can't go anywhere. They have to make it more linear. And then after you either finish the story, then you can open it up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have the more major parts and have breaks in between the major parts for the mainline story, so you can do other side quests and catch up on your gear and stuff like that. And then they lead you on again, and then they stop you again, and you catch up on the side quest or whatever. Regardless of what it is, they tried to give you some freedom, and it didn't quite work out the way people perceived it. Right? That was a big issue. The other thing that I'm seeing here, see here. The other thing that I'm seeing here, give me 1 second here. I'm sorry, guys. I just have a little notepad. It's more emotional moments. More emotional moments. That's a big issue for a lot of people. I don't know where I've seen this from, but someone made a really good point where they essentially said that for emotional moments, for other games, they kind of guilt trip you or gaslight you into caring about certain characters, whether it be like for The Last of Us, Joel's daughter dies in the beginning of the game, so it immediately gives you like some sort of an obligation to finish, to be invested into Joel. You know what I mean? You feel sorry for him. And that's not necessarily what happens with Forbidden West or Zero Dawn, truthfully. Unfortunately, people are pretty shallow, so they only see things like skin deep. And the funny thing is, too, this is another thing that kind of cracked me up. I know somebody that platinumed the first game. And in the midst of them platinuming the first game, they didn't even know what the story was. Now, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Like, answer that particular question. Whose fault would that be for you to play a 40-hour game and not understand what the story is? One would say that the person that was playing it wasn't paying attention, and that would be an easy win for people that are fans of the game, but I don't think so. I'm not going to give that kind of, that's too biased, right? I say, because the developer they let the dog run in the yard all over the place. No guidance, no nothing. They need to put you on a leash, unfortunately. Because people are so used to having these types of, scenarios where, especially with Sony games, they tend to be linear. You know what I mean? So that's a situation, right? Linear as games. This is an open world game, so they don't have the luxury of kind of like the theme park ride situation of The Last of Us or Uncharted, where you go through different story beats. It's very easy in a linear game to make you follow along. Not only that, but the Horizon universe story is a lot more complicated than people give it credit for. Now, you could say that, well, I'm not really that invested in it, but I'm noticing a lot of people have this affinity for high fantasy type stuff, such as like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or whatever the case is. You see that a lot, and gaming is associated with that type of stuff. Horizon's magic is actually technology. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on with this one. Unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. There's so much, you know what I mean? It goes against, you know what I mean, with how I would want, a story to be presented. But maybe it's for the best. Sometimes you gotta play the game. You know what I'm saying? You can't get mad at the player. You gotta get mad at the game. Unfortunately, people want linear experiences because when you let the dog run loose in the yard, there's no direction. The other thing I wanted to say here too is tighter melee combat. If you played Forbidden West, you would know that when you do melee, right, she goes all over the place, man. She's zipping. It's not tight. It's not controlled. She's too wild. You know what I'm saying? You can lose control of the character when you're doing melee in Forbidden West, unless you really, really know what you're doing. Then you can kind of control it because they got like cancels and things of that nature, and it's kind of counterintuitive. It should be more along the lines of like, say, like a hack and slash. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Aloy. And I feel like people would kind of resonate with that a little bit better, personally. That's what I would say. The other thing here too is add a block or parry system. Add a block or parry system. There's no way to defend yourself other than stupidly rolling around. You know what I'm saying? Even in the Souls game, you have a shield where you can block. You have nothing. And there's a literal fucking shield glider in this game, an energy glider that its purpose was a fucking shield. And somehow Guerrilla Games missed the mark on this shield. It is incredibly stupid that they didn't put that in there. I would say for the Burning Shores, maybe they can find something in Hollywood that they can fix her shield and make it so that she can block or whatever the case is, or maybe they didn't have enough time. Regardless of the matter, what a dumb decision to not have a shield and have your character looking so stupid and rolling around. It just looks dumb in an otherwise fantastically animated game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you rolling, yo? You know what I mean? Just dumb. I mean, I'm just disappointing. The other thing too is people are so shallow nowadays that practical hits and whatnot, it needs to be flashier. I mean, like Aloy needs to stun on a bitch. That's what she needs to do. She needs to stab her spirit in the torso of a person and then twist her hips and then do like a cart roll and shit like that. Then people would fucking clap like seals because these people are so shallow. You just can't play a game to play a game. Like, people literally would play a QTE, i.e., what do you call it? God of War 2018. When you fought Baldur in the beginning, it was basically a QTE the whole way through. You know what I'm saying? And people was like, that's the best boss battle I've ever played in my life. Really? I thought it was a QTE, but okay. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, people are just that damn shallow that they need to see something flashy or shiny, and then they can say that it's the best game ever. Terrible. Terrible. I will say this, right? They have it a little bit in both Horizons. When you're aiming and you decide to roll, you can roll in each direction. And that looks cool, but she's still rolling. I would much prefer Aloy to flip. So when you're aiming, you could do a backflip. You know, and then when you're actually aiming and you do a side jump, you know what I mean? She can do a side flip, like old school Tomb Raider type shit. You know what I mean? Make it look, make it like that's the flashiness that I'm referring to. That's the flashiness that I feel. I mean, Aloy is like a cat, basically. You know what I mean? And it doesn't look elegant. Her moveset, it just doesn't look elegant enough to me to warrant, you know, the flashy look, which is unfortunate, right? But I feel like these changes would be very nice. Also, the problem with the Forbidden West is that the cutscenes, they went overboard on cutscenes. They could have took that time and did something else, and they didn't. Like literally, it's so crazy. How much exposition they have for the littlest things. Like each tribe has their own story, and then when you ask them a question, it'll literally be like 30 minutes of a conversation. It's like a cutscene in itself. It's like really crazy. And I'm like, damn. And it's like people are like, I really care about the mainline story. I don't really give a fuck about, this tribe, this Utoro. I don't care about your little problems. You know what I mean? Like, why do I need to care? And it's like, why? You know what I mean? So shorter conversations. If people want to know more about the Utaro, whatever the case is, leave that shit as a data point and let them make the decision. Give them the fucking cliff notes. Give them the cliff notes and keep it moving. It's too much. It's entirely too much. So I see how that could be a particular problem. Also, this is more storyline driven. People do not like Mary Sue's for characters. And I'll be the first one, as much as I played Horizon, will tell you that Aloy is a Mary Sue. She has virtually no problems or no flaws. She's smart, she's strong, she's witty, you know what I mean? She's caring. There's no time that she can be selfish. Like, allow Aloy, you know what I mean, to every now and again want some dick or something, you know what I mean? Be selfish for once. Or pussy, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I feel like she's a super Mary Sue character, you know what I mean? She's just like, I care about the world. I care about everything. I'm like the Lord Jesus Christ in this game. It's like, come on, bitch. Even if I do know that you're, the person I was inspired by, did all these altruistic things. I'll be like, I got my own needs. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get my pap smeared or something. I don't know. So that's how I figure she needs to show some flaws, some anger, some frustration or whatever the case is. She is emotional. We do know that. But she's on that high horse, man. That needs to go. That high horse is crazy for me personally. Damn, I can't do nothing. Die. Saber-tooth tiger. Ooh, about the electrocute me. I still did it. Let me take care of this. What are you again? I can't even remember. You are a Ravager. All right. You're dead. Okay. If you played Horizon Forbidden West, you know that there's different tribes, right? Each tribe has their own strength. Like the Otaro, the people that look like they're wearing vegetables and shit like that, they favor stealth. The who the fuck? The Oseram are more hardy, so they have armor that can protect you. Only have that be sold at these settlements and nowhere else. If I want that type of gameplay, if I want some armor or whatever, let me go to the Oseram myself. Don't put it anywhere else because it takes away the tribe and the lore of the game. You know what I mean? So let me go back to the dialogue and stuff that I said earlier. Have the dialogue tree have meaning and impact for the story. You know, have like life or death situations be selected. They did it like a couple times in Forbidden West. They need that like times 10, like times every story beat, something important. Every mission needs to have something, whether it's small or large, to have like an if then statement. You know, if you do this, then that happens. Period. It gives more investment. It's given investments, right? That's how I put it. It's given investments. And then last but not least, air combat and underwater combat. I think we've seen a little bit of this in the Burning Shores promotional material. I think there is air combat to a degree, but underwater combat as well. It could be limited, you know what I mean? But she has no way of protecting herself underwater other than to get the hell out. Make it so that she could do something, you know what I mean? Bounce off a machine, use him as leverage, or whatever the case is, or a little bit of a damage, stealth kill, you know what I mean? Swim under him and rip the wires out, or whatever the case is. That's what I would say would make um, an awesome sequel to Forbidden West. That's what I would say. And likewise, we're going to actually move over to the Callisto Protocol. And I mentioned this earlier, about 30 some odd minutes ago, when it came to how people felt about Callisto Protocol and how its highs were extremely high. You know, that was a big problem with Callisto Protocol. Its highs were really high. The graphics and its presentations and cutscenes were high. And so when you look at this game, you were expecting everything to be at that level. I told you before, that's why it gets scrutinized so much. It's probably why Nintendo don't get as scrutinized in that case, because they're already, you know, the bar is low enough, you know, put it that way. You know, so every little flaw that it has is looked at as charming, right? You know what I mean? Or the little engine that could. So in this case, right, Callisto Protocol is showing all these visual flares and flourishes, but then the gameplay, people are expecting more out of it. That's number one. Number two, I think that it's backlash also where, once again, with the shallow crew, right, people were expecting Callisto Protocol to be Dead Space. You know, and despite the DNA of Dead Space with the original creators, that's not what the case was. That wasn't what the game was. It's still the Callisto Protocol and not Dead Space. It has its own flavor. And as such, you need to treat it as such. It's people couldn't let it go once they start playing it that it wasn't a Dead Space, and they started to crucify this game. They started to absolutely crucify the game, which was terrible. So here's the thing though, right? It's like if you wanted pizza, right? When you were younger, right? You wanted pizza and your mom couldn't, or mom or dad or whomever, they couldn't get pizza at the time. It wasn't along the way. So they ended up getting you, you know, a burger. And even though both foods are amazing, right? If you do like that type of food, you will eat that burger, but you're like, damn, I wanted a fucking pizza, yo. I don't really have a taste for it. So that burger will never taste as good as the pizza that you were anticipating. It will never taste as good. I don't care if you're the best burger. That's not what you were in the mood for. And that's part of the reason why I believe Callisto Protocol took such a beating in that case. Now, the pros of Callisto Protocol, the Callisto Protocol, right? It's where is the presentation, right? You know what I'm saying? I commend also that they decided to go the route of melee. I think that was a very ballsy move in a survival horror. Playing a let me take a look here. My bad. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I got all these people. Oh shit. Hold on. I don't be seeing you. So like, hold on. Let me let you in. Brian, what's going on, homie?
Did you play Callisto Protocol?
I have it.
Okay, because I just finished it today, and we're homies, and I always give you a hard time, but you are doing some real damage controlling right now on Callisto Protocol.
Why do you? So let me ask you this, right? So I'm okay. So that's the pros that I have. I commend them for trying something different, right? Because I'm gonna ask you a series of questions since you want to come at my neck for this shit. Listen, I've been gaming longer than you lived.
Probably.
Right. So I know a thing or two about gaming. I've been doing it for a while, but I'm not going to discredit you because my mom always told me if knowledge can be found, don't turn your nose up to it from which it comes from. If it comes from a donkey and if that shit is legit, listen to it. So I ain't going to sit there and be on my high horse. But here's the things that I feel. The game atmosphere is beautiful, awesome, 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 awesome. They used melee, that was cool. So here's my flaws, and I'm gonna run them down really quickly, so we can talk about this. We can have this discourse, right? Um, I have 10 things that I feel like Callisto Protocol needs fixing, and I will say story objective motivations or some sort of stakes. The objective was to get the fuck out of the prison. And it stayed that way the entire time. That I have a problem with that. Because typically in video games, if you're in video games, right, you have an objective and you usually have some stakes. A loved one or something that you have in there. Maybe the person's about to die or whatever the case is, you're trying to get a cure. Whatever it may be, there was no stakes other than to get the fuck out. And that's a dry ass story. Also, in terms of the combat, that camera needs to be pulled the fuck back because when you swinging, you know what I mean, and trying to hit haymakers and shit like that, that camera goes all over the place. It disorients you way too much. So they need to pull that shit back so I can see what the fuck I'm hitting, right? I feel like the melee weapons need to break. This is one of those rare occasions where I feel like the stakes of the threat needs to be very high because it feels like an action game more than a horror. That weapon, you should not be able to have an invincible weapon the whole time, especially as hard as these niggas' paws are when you beat the shit out of them, right? So that's one of the problems. Allow for you to have a crafting system where you encourages exploration, right? You walk around and I need to find things to put the melee weapon together or fix the weapon because it starts to degrade, it gets weaker, whatever the case is. Allow for that entire facility if you're going into a facility in any sequel or any kind of capacity of the Callisto Protocol. Allow for that entire area to be explorable. And if I am going to explore that area, like leave nothing unturned, I'll respawn those enemies. So I'll have some stakes to go back there, right? In terms of the animations, I understand why they wanted it to be clunky and slow, whatever the case is, but some of them bitches need to be sped up. He got that syringe, right? And every time I pull out that syringe, this nigga look at this shit like he's never seen it before in his life. And then puts it in his neck. That is wasting my time. That is not respecting my time as a user. Shorten them bitches up. And then on top of the animations, that's what makes it feel almost double A. He does the same dodge animations over and over. In The Last of Us Part 2, when you dodge, they actually remixed it so your brain won't try to make connections and patterns. And it has a more natural feel to it when you do that shit. Essentially, the later half of the game, and don't tell me the ending, I'm close to the end, by the way, because I know this. There is some areas where they need better jump scares. They playing music, the same type of music, the shrieking, the violins, whatever the fuck they do. It doesn't scare you. But they have this area where it's foggy. I thought that was moody and atmospheric. They had the enemies that were invisible. That was pretty fucking cool. I like that shit. And speaking of enemies, they need more enemy variety in general, man. I do not want to fight a humanoid. Basically, I'm fighting The Rock through this whole fucking game. There's just a big ass, strong ass enemy, yo. That's like no. And lastly, risk and reward system for my items. So if I have a full inventory, I have to make room for shit. You know what I mean? Inventory management. If I want that shit to have a whole bunch of health, let me do that shit. Let me think. Do I want to collect items or currency, or do I want the fucking health? They need to double down on that. Or, here's the thing. When you do go back to the facilities and the enemies are there kind of lying down, let's say there's a really crazy volatile enemy, right? Allow for me to choose that whatever that green shit is in that syringe, let me inject that shit into the fucking monster to stop him from respawning. Or use it for health. I feel like those things were they would elevate the Callisto protocol so much. Now, that being said, Ryan, what you guys say about that? Tell me I'm wrong. Act like I'm capping.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot to digest. I'm going to say here's my issues with this game. And some of the things you said are good. I don't agree with that whole risk reward stuff because that's not the game they were making.
True.
And I don't think this is survival horror because there are no horror moments in this game. I think this falls under survival action.
That's what I was saying before. I said that before when I was playing the game. I was like, this feels more like there ain't no horror elements. This is more action. Like, I don't see anything that will give me the heebie-jeebies at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty tame.
Not. Because I don't know if you, and far as in the healing animations, that's hard. The combat is horrible. The camera is bad. They couldn't be bothered with different bosses, so they recycled the same boss 4 times.
Wait, slow down. Grab the wall and wiggle like you're trying to make your ass fall off. Hold on. When you say the combat is horrible, please elaborate.
The camera's bad.
No. You mentioned 2 different items, camera and combat. What's making the combat awful, as you say?
The camera makes the combat awful. It makes it god awful. And what happens is, and one of the biggest pet peeves I have in this game is that when you're fighting multiple
Go on, clear throat.
I my own space last week, and then I did another one a couple days later for Callisto Protocol early impressions, and then my second one was late game impressions. And people told me, "Oh, well, you're playing it wrong. Play it with the headset on." I played it with the headset on. It's the first game I've ever played using a headset, and I want to point out 2 positive things about this game. The graphics are amazing. The sound is amazing. I don't find much else amazing in this game. I do not recommend this game, especially at a $70 price point. And here's the deal. We've all played God of War. And just imagine, and I'm going to make this as simple as possible, just imagine when you're fighting enemies that's not on your screen. You get a red indicator that lets you know that, hey, dude's in back of you somewhere, and he's getting ready to hit you with a power attack. Gives you time to move out of the way or change your strategy up. Callisto Protocol gives you none of that. When you're fighting multiple enemies and one just happens to be in back of you, you're fucked.
So, wait, hold on, Ryan. Let me back up a little bit, just a little bit, as to what you're saying, because it's a barrage of things that you're saying. All right. I take that back in terms of the survival action game. I think it is horror. It's just not. That's why I was saying they need better horror elements. But also, I do think they have I know. But they also, I think they do have the what do you call it? The risk reward anyway, because your inventory space is low and you have to drop things and you have to wait for you to get to these machines where you can do things with it. I get it. But you mentioned the combat system, and I'm gonna tell you right now, because there's videos out there, right, that will explicitly show you how to deal with situations where there's a lot of enemies. And I think that because people interpret the game as an action game, the camera work is fucked up. Take your time when you're going into the room and you will not have these issues. I promise you, it is very rare that you will have these issues. They put like these explosive canisters, which will insta-kill them. They put like these environmental hazards, which you can force push them into, or they add another element. Yeah, the enemies are stronger, and they add like a time frame essentially before it can make your life like real difficult. But
hold on. I'm glad you touched on that, because see now what you're doing is being disingenuous here, because I'm aware of all of that. I finished the game today. So I'm aware of everything you're saying.
Well, you think that you think that because you finished the game that you know about it? Because I know somebody that finished. Hold on, wait. Hold on, hold on. I know somebody that played. Yo, what's going on, Jemiah? I know somebody that played Horizon Forbidden West. No, excuse me, Horizon Zero Dawn and Platinum the game, and did not know what the story was. It was some wild shit. So I don't.
I know. Well, see, here's the thing. If you don't let me get my point across, then I don't understand what's the point.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of add on it. I get excitable. You know that shit.
Okay, but the point I'm making is this: there's a scene early in the game when you got to get to the watchtower. Where you meet the black dude face to face in the control center.
Mm-hmm.
There are no environmental hazards to use at your advantage. And in that particular instance, you're fighting 5 of those things. 3 in front of you, and 2 are in back of you. So there are no canisters to be thrown. There is no power glove to be used. Later on in the game, exactly, you can use the power glove, throw them into spike walls, use the canisters, throw those, whatever. But that's not good game design.
I'm going to play the game again, right, after I beat it. And I'm going to find that same exact area, and I'm going to show you what you do in that area. It's not that...
I video recorded a lot of my clips. And I'm sorry, dude. This is a video game. I understand what they're going for, but it has to be fun. That's the thing I think people have to stop doing. It has to be fun.
Okay.
If you're not going to put any indications to let me know that enemies are in back of me or going to attack me, at least have a quick turn, which they don't. You can't heal in combat, because every time he heals, it's like playing Madden. He has to take a knee. It sucks. It's almost a 10 second or 8 second heal animation.
Because they
try to pull that shit off in combat.
That's because you're not supposed to do it in combat, as you already are aware of. You don't want it. You don't. I know, but you don't want it to be. I'm not saying. This is not an argument of realism, right? This is not an argument of realism. This is about game design. So I'm not.
It's a bad game design.
Hold on. I'm not using the excuse of they clearly don't want you.
Excuse me. Sorry,
nigga, you good? You drunk?
Of course not. I don't drink, but I ate earlier. My throat was dry.
Nigga was hiccuping and shit. No, I will say this. They clearly don't want you to heal in combat, right? Just like when you play Resident Evil, and they don't want you to shoot all the time. They don't want you to shoot the heads. The heads don't even do anything when you shoot.
Oh my.
That to me, that would be that to me. I don't like that. I don't want it to be that way. If I shoot a bitch in the head, I'm gonna need you to go down.
You don't want to be. Josh, we have been healing in games in mid-combat for as long as I can remember. That's not nothing.
Yeah, I'm in the space. I'm in the space too.
Josh, you can't even slide up and down well, you can't slide down ladders. You can't hit the button, press the button to go up ladders fast. There's no quick turn, like I already said.
It wasn't in Dead Space either, and nobody had no problem with that one.
Josh, comparing Dead Space to when that came out. Josh, I was in high school when that came out.
All right, so what's going to happen, right? When Dead Space come out, I want everyone that had an issue with that to keep that same energy. I am pretty sure.
There's no map system. So you will do a little bit of backtracking, especially when you get confused in certain areas. Not as a lot, but you can get a little, like, hey, did I go this way? Do I need to go this way? Because there's no indication.
It's linear, though.
Hold on. They give you they'll say, like, go to the refining core. It'll pop up on the screen one time for 2 seconds, and that's it. You'll never see it again until you find the
Oh no, that one. I was mentioning that too to a buddy of mine. No, that's definitely a thing. Like I literally, like I something happened, right, where I had to turn the game off and I had to leave, right, and I turned it on. I was like, what the fuck I have to do? There's no way, even though they have a menu system, there was no way to recall that. That's a huge issue. That's a real gaming flaw for sure.
There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things in this game that you can do. There are a lot of things that just adds up to a bad experience. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Is this game graphically beautiful? Absolutely. Is it sound some of the best sounds I've ever heard? And I'm glad I did play it with the 3D audio that the PS5 uses.
They got some audio. They got some audio issues too, by the way.
Well, I didn't hear it that much because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't play games with headsets. The first one, like I said before, this is the first one I've ever played with the headset, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it makes me probably want to play more games with headsets. Dude, there are a litany of problems with this game. This game is not close to being perfect. This is a $40 experience, so if you guys want to wait for...
Oh, no, Brian, I agree with you. This game should not be a $70 experience for sure. I agree with you. Like, the only thing that's making it a $70 experience is only the graphics, really. But go on.
Yeah, I'm not talking about length. So I don't want anybody thinking, well, you know how a lot of people base it on the length. No,
so basically, so what you care about is girth, then?
Yeah, this game doesn't have to be long because, trust me, I thought I spent 20 hours because this shit starts to drag. And I can't even tell you the ending because guess what? I don't even know what the fuck happened. It was just that bad. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you saying it's bad, yo, but this is what I don't like about the gaming industry. It infuriates me. It's not about this game, right, that really irritates me. What infuriates me about this is these hyperboles. You know what I mean? Saying something is absolutely terrible, they can't objectifiably mention, you know, their grievances with it.
But I have an issue with the ending, but it will ruin it for you.
No. I'm not talking about the. I'm not talking about the. I'm like right now. I'm not necessarily talking about the story. I'm just talking about in general, where people will sit there in the gaming community, where they just it's hyperbole.
I can literally go into detail about the problem I had with the ending. But like once again, it will ruin it for Stage if he hasn't played it. It will ruin for Chelsea if she hasn't played it, and it will ruin it for Deontay if he hasn't played it. I can literally go into detail what I have an issue with.
I look, the story is something that I was saying myself that it needs some milk. The story definitely needs some work. And I agree with it. I totally
I was tapping around the ending part because I didn't want to ruin it for the other three people in here.
Right, right. I didn't get to the ending either, and I'm not really. I'm talking about sheer gameplay and the base of what they have here. And like I said,
I spent 15 hours in this game. I want some type of resolution. That's all. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
You didn't like the game anyway, though. Like, there's nothing that they could have done. There's nothing that they could have done to change your mind, bro.
That's not true.
Lies.
You never heard me say I did not like the game.
You said it was a horrible game.
I said I've had horrible experiences with the game. I still think there could have been a core game here. Can this game be patched? I doubt it.
No. Even if they do pull the camera back, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that they need indicators. I didn't have that problem that you mentioned when what's his name, Elias or whatever the case is, the Spanish dude. For me personally,
yeah.
I don't think that I had the issue. Like, I really didn't. I was literally streaming the game, and I was talking to somebody actually, and I didn't have a problem with it. I was like, oh, okay, cool, and I just kept it moving. Maybe the environmental hazards that you thought that wasn't there, was there, and it just wasn't really highlighted.
Before you get power gloves. So what I was talking about, this is before you get power gloves, be able to throw shit. I know what you're talking about. Once you get the glove and you can throw enemies into walls and all that other good stuff, I'm aware of all of that stuff. But once you upgrade that glove and all that stuff, that's mid towards the end of the game. But before that happens, and before you even get, because you don't get introduced to the spike walls until after you get the power suit. I mean the armor that he wears on the trailer. So all of that stuff comes afterwards.
As soon as you get the glove, there's a lot of spike walls, and you don't get that. It's not that late in the game.
Spike wall, Josh. There are a lot of spike walls, but once he gets that armor, after they leave, or once they go onto the surface of the planet, and then they work their way down, especially into the old city, or the old colony is what it's called. That's where there are tons of spike walls, and you can throw those enemies into those walls and stuff like that. There's tons of that there, but none of that happens until the midpoint of the game.
I found spike walls before I even got the suit, though. Before I just had the glove.
I don't remember that. Maybe you could be right. I remember.
So if you don't remember that, then like I said before, there's a possibility, and just hear me out. It's a possibility. It could be some missing. Where the hell is Jemiah? He said he was okay. He's here. Nigga taking his sweet time.
I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think it's a $70 game. I think this game is, if you want to wait for it.
But Brian, I agree with you. I concur. I literally do. 7.5 to me to an 8 if you paid attention. You know what I mean?
I want about that.
But when people, here's my grievance. Yo, Jemiah, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. But before you go on, my grievances is when you got a lot of hyperbole when it comes to the gaming space, where people say stuff is like, for instance, people say that Horizon Forbidden West is mid. It's a weak game, mid. You just keep hearing that shit. Or on the other end, people are saying that Elden Ring is the best game on earth. That type of hyperbole is damaging to the industry, to me, and it prevents developers from trying new things because people are so sheepish when it comes to that shit. And like, if you have a grievance with it, if you have a grievance with the game, and you say that, hey, I don't think it's a $70 game, the camera's too close, blah 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 blah. Cool, that's you already got it. You know what I'm saying? But when you say, oh, this is terrible, horrible spirit, I can't take this no more. Oh Jesus.
But hold on. So what you're saying? Okay, hold on, because you're throwing a lot, and I think that's not being.
What he's trying to say is he wants people to articulate why he thinks the game is bad and not just bashing it, without having it clear. No, you are though.
No, he was. He came in there talking about. You can see that. You can see it. You can hear it earlier in there.
Obviously, I can't go to about certain things because there are all people here who have not played it.
Well, you just spoiled a lot of the game, man.
No, he didn't. I didn't
know they went to the surface of the planet.
Stop it. Stop yourself.
I'm playing with you. I'm playing.
You would have knew about it. But, no, man, come on. I'm just going to say, what you think they were going to spend the whole fucking game in a prison, Jemiah? Come on. Cut it out.
It's fucking... Look, in Dead Space, you spend the whole time on the ship, right? I never played Dead Space. I'm not sure.
Could be. I don't know.
You literally see the man wearing an exosuit. You know they got breathable air inside the prison. Come on, man. Cut it out, dude.
I don't be in space, bro. I don't know.
No, but oh wait, what's your grievances? How I'm presenting it? What you saying I'm being disingenuous?
Like I said, the dodging mechanic is tied to the left. Was it the left stick?
Left stick.
That look, and I've said this 100 times already. That's a fun idea if there's a one-on-one encounter. It's a bad idea when you're fighting multiple enemies with a broken camera. I'm sorry, it is.
It's the camera. The camera really makes or break all of this shit, yo. Because again, they got the Kratos camera, right? The God of War camera. It's like right up his ass. You know what I'm saying? It's like right. You just see the hairs of his ass, right?
And it's funny because if you look at a lot of these reviews,
what
a lot of people are saying the same shit. When I said this last Saturday, everybody was like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're doing it wrong." And then when all those reviews start to drop,
no, but you know what it is. You know what I think. You know what I think is going on, because you have the game. I think there was a lot of. I think it was a lot of pony stuff going. I think there was a lot of pony shit going on. Now I still stick by what I say. The camera is disorienting, but they do always give you an option. Always give you an option. And that's what I noticed. Whether you see it or not is the fault of the developer in terms of the option itself, but they always do give you an option when you realize what it is. I get that. You know what I mean? I played the beginning twice, and I have footage of that. So I get it. So that means, like I said before, there's other people that plays Horizon Zero Dawn and Plasma the game don't even know what the story is. So that, to me, you beating it twice, and then I'm having a different experience than you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I see the flaws, but it's not nearly as what you're describing it because there's some things that they do give you a way out. At first, I was like, I was like, how the fuck they want you to do all this shit? And there was a way out.
We're different gamers. Maybe I tackled it differently. I still stand by what I say. I think it's bad game design to put a dodge system and tie it to the left stick, especially when that system breaks down. What's up, Push? King Push is I played with, and I'm friends. Yes, and
Oh wait, King, wait, who's trying to? He's trying to talk. DeAndre, okay.
No, I'm talking about King Push. I don't know if DeAndre plays.
No, because yo, what's going on, Push? He usually don't say shit. He like that nigga quiet as kept.
I know he's on my PSN, but I know he plays a lot of the latest games, but I don't know.
No, he plays a lot of PC shit, yo. He about to completely defect, man.
Yeah, relax.
He like, yo, PC for life.
I think tying the dodge to the left stick, not a good idea in my opinion. Maybe it sounds good on paper, but I think, yo, I believe you. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I get hyper. I think that it's not. You want to know why I think that they shouldn't tie it to the left stick? Simply because of the fucking stick drift. Simply because of that, man. You ain't fucking on my. Stick drift. I just account for that. There's no heal. There's no real good heal system. There's no quick turn. There's no way to tell when people are in back of you. People told me to put the headset on. You'll be able to hear the enemies in back of you. Not true.
They don't usually spawn behind you like that. But hold on, Jemiah, what do you have to say about this? Because you were like itching, looked like for something. You were saying something about acid. Unless you thought we were talking about Horizon.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Horizon, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But then I thought back.
On Callisto?
He thought I was talking about Horizon. I was talking about both games to be.
Because he was playing Horizon on his stream, and I was watching the stream, and I was hearing you guys talking about this shit. I'm like, yo, you guys use acid. What are you talking about? But yeah, I was messed up.
Okay, it's all good, bro.
DeAndre, what you gotta say about this shit, man?
Oh, I mean, I had to come in here because your statement when you said that there's people out there that think Elden Ring is the greatest game ever made, and even though that's a subjective statement, but
DeAndre, did you play Callisto?
Absolutely not, man.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So you don't have anything to add about the Callisto?
No, besides, I can't wait till it comes to Game Pass. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Lord Jesus. All right, go on, please.
We're going to Elden Ring?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying, like, the people who think it's the greatest game, it's like, it's subjective, but in the day, I know a lot of us, we like PlayStation exclusives, but we have to understand that we can't just justify how Sony developed games should be the standard for every other developer. There's people out there that just prefer, let me get lost and explore and no cutscenes, or very, like, less than 5 minutes cutscenes. Let them have that type of moment. But
with that said, though, that I want to see more PC games. I want to see more RTSs, more 4X games, because games like Civilization deserve fucking props like that. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, you can say that with any game, though.
I'm noticing that gamers, especially in this gaming space, they're extra fugazi and fake, and it's pissing me off. I wanted to actually speak about that shit too, because a lot of the times gamers talk about open world fatigue. Oh my god, I'm so tired of these open world. I just want a kill-rated experience, right? And then you want to sit there and make a game like what is it? Assassin's Creed sell like fucking 30 million. Or Elden Ring so all that much, talk about it doesn't hold my hand. Oh, but let me go online and look up how to solve this since the developers don't want to teach me how to do it. And I'm going to say that it's not holding my, like, all that fugazi bullshit, you know what I mean? Horizon, and let me just talk about that shit too, because I made a video earlier about Horizon.
2 award shows in a row.
Yo, I'm going to say this, right? And this pisses me off because how much of a sheep people are. I realize that people really want someone, and this goes beyond fucking gaming, but I'm going to keep it at gaming. The general masses want somebody to decide for them. And then with that decision, they will literally make themselves like or dislike something. When Elden Ring came out, everyone said that Elden Ring was the best game on earth, and it came alongside of Horizon. They gave people a week to play Horizon, which is nowhere near the time frame. But people had their minds set up because the media, whatever caused it, said that Elden Ring was the best game ever. Now here's the double standards, right? Elden Ring had poor fucking performance. Horizon did not. But then they said that, oh, it looks a little grainy. I can't play this no more. But they could play like, something that dropped all the way down to like the 20s and 40s and had like an unstable frame rate and had pop in galore. But they act like they didn't have a particular issue. And this is including PC. You know what I'm saying? Then they would talk about some obscure gameplay and stuff like that. It's weird because they're like, oh, I don't want quest markers on my screen when a developer had to fucking patch that shit in there because people forgot. This bitch, I'll say this shit over and over again. This bitch asked me for a fucking grape. And I forgot about her about 20 hours into it. And I was like, and I said, what's this NPC doing over here? So I go up to her. Did you find my grape yet? I said, grape? What grape? Oh, crap. I was like, yo, you had no. And then that's why the developer had to, he had to fucking add that other extra shit in there. It's just, to me, it's like fake shit, man. Like, people all they care about is trendy shit. Whatever is trendy, they want to sit there and hop on it. And I believe this too. This is the last thing, and I'll let you guys speak on this shit. All these fake ass PlayStation people that act like they care so much about PlayStation, and I want the culture of PlayStation to remain the same. Don't put it on PC, but don't play fucking Gran Turismo because that's not my type of game. Or Horizon is fucking mid. I only like AAA fucking games that get like a 95 on a Metacritic or whatever the case is. Type shit. Y'all not fucking fans.
My check.
Who that? Who that speaking? DeAndre, you may need to go back up. Hello?
If he's talking, he's not talking.
Or you may need to get back out there.
Let me leave and come back.
There you, I hear you now.
No, I can hear you now, yeah. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I don't know. He bounced out. Something's happened.
Yo, this Spaces never worked properly. My phone, he's in the chat twice.
No, he backed out. He backed out, and that's what it looks like when you back out. And that's why Spaces is fucking not doing so well anyway. But Jamal, what you gotta say about these fake ass PlayStation fans that want to gatekeep games that they never will play? They just want it on the console just to have numbers. What you gotta say about them?
From the moment Horizon came out and it got the score that it scored, everybody immediately pivoted to wait till God of War come out for Game of the Year.
Before it even came out.
Before it was even announced or confirmed that it was even coming out this year, people immediately pivoted to get the God of War going to be the GOTY. So it's like, I mean, I'm not going to be mad if people don't like Horizon. I don't know how 20 million PlayStation fans bought the game, but seeing how the game has no fans, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I had a tweet that went fucking viral. 1.2 million people interacted with it on my tiny ass Twitter space, my Twitter platform. That's pretty damn fucking good for a game that nobody likes. You know what I'm saying?
Those pictures I retweeted of that, like that in-game photography. I'm like, look, Horizon is the most gorgeous game to date that came out. Like, even God of War is a linear game. That's not front. It's a linear hub game. And the God of War does not look better than the open world game Horizon. Not even, it's close, but it's not that close, bro. Horizon is the best looking game to come out to date. And people still give it no credit.
What's crazy? I can hear you now. What's crazy about all this shit? I'm gonna let you speak on this one. Is that I truly look. Somebody said that Horizon literally has it doesn't have a good art style. They said that the Horizon doesn't have a good art style. They said that Elden Ring does. They said that all Horizon has is just pretty realistic graphics. And I'm like, I don't remember seeing anything that fucking colorful in my life. Not only that, but like.
First of all, Horizon, it doesn't look realistic. It's a stylized game. It's not realistic. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, Callisto Protocol is realistic. Horizon is it's a semi-realistic game. It is not made to be one-for-ones for looking like humans. You know what I mean? Like how actually humans look. It's an art style.
You know, and I'm like, just because, and you know what I think it is, Cece, and she'll know this shit too, yo, because I know she likes Horizon and shit like that. I think the gaming community has this stigma for Western games in general that's been going on for the last 2 generations about how Western games are not, they're creatively bankrupt, and that if it's a Japanese game, they automatically like assume that it's the best game ever. You know what I'm saying, in terms of like design. Now, don't get me the fuck wrong. I love my Japanese game. My favorite game of all time, right next to, there's 2 favorite games of all time that I can't decide, is the original Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Colossus, right? I know, like, it's, the thing is, man, like, when people were playing Elden Ring, they literally put all their issues aside, man. All the glitches, all the reused animations for a new IP. Like, let's not get this shit fucked up. They used the same animations that was from a different IP in this fucking game. And all they added was a fucking horse in an open world game that actually took a hit in game design because it's open world. And I'm gonna say that. And you know what though? All the fans, all the weebs, right, that actually likes this shit, the Elden Ring or whatever the case is, what they're gonna say about it is, well, it got Game of the Year, so you didn't get any awards. That's your validation. You can't see past the actual issues of the game itself. Y'all think it's charming?
Yeah, I would just talk to Joshua when that. But I was going to say also, remember
Yeah.
that trailer got shown and her feet weren't like perfectly in the sand, and people were like, look at that, that's not next gen. And then you have fucking Elden Ring come out and every grass popping in like goddamn fucking a fucking b-boy crew and shit. Like, it was just like, come on, man. Like, I can't with this. I can't with these things, bro. Because like, if you guys say something, then be fair all the way across. You know what I mean? That's my point.
DeAndre, go on, man. I'm sorry, man. I was on my soapbox.
No, it's fine because your rant is fair. I like your opinion about it. It's just that in the day, since PlayStation is held to such a high pedestal, from just generations of hard work and labor and how nurturing their studios, everything look like everything's virtual signal. Like,
What do you mean?
you guys have a perfect example between the Elden Ring and Horizon when it comes to the visuals and stuff. What's being pushed? One's a cross-gen game on 8 different platforms. The other one's it's a cross-gen on only 2 platforms. But it's just this game came out at a time where a lot of new people never played From Software games, and then the From Software fan base came in and jumped on board. We know the From Software fan base is primarily on PlayStation and PC, not Xbox. This is where all the fans are at. So for them, they could have been like, hey, Horizon might not be my thing, or Horizon is my thing, but they just knew that From Software games since Demon Souls, we don't know their origins, how they started playing, but it's just a massive fan base out there. And, Horizon Forbidden West will get its legs, it will get its sales, it will be successful. It's already getting a DLC, it's already getting a standalone VR game. So,
But here's the thing, Elden Ring got its fucking, like, let's call a spade a spade. Elden Ring got its fucking, like, sales from the extreme hype that it's gotten by the Metacritic and reviewers. And I feel like the same thing happened with Gran Turismo. People were talking about microtransaction and slow down the fucking sales. The media.
No, it was minorities on Twitter that said that.
It doesn't matter. But what ended up happening was people went online and all these influencers started to they never even fucking played a Gran Turismo. And even if they did, they didn't even really play it. They played like the first 10 minutes and kept it moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were a lot of articles too.
There was a lot of articles about how Sony and Polyphony Digital was trying to screw over people when it's the same model from Gran Turismo 5. Except that it don't stay online. You have to stay online for Sport and 7. So it's like, influencers has a lot of power, and a lot of these influencers, such as IGN, Digital Foundry, and GameSpot, and all these other fucking places, they have a responsibility. And what ended up happening was it was too juicy of an information, to let slide. Everybody's waiting for Sony to like fail. They can't wait. You know what I mean? So to put out there that Sony is trying to do microtransactions when they normally would have done, story-based games was a juicy prospect for them. And in terms of Horizon, everybody just seems to think that Horizon is nothing but graphics. It's a tech demo, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I posted, and if you follow me on Twitter, right, you'll see that this motherfucker said that Forspoken was a better game than Horizon.
Who the hell said that?
Man, I'll send you that shit, man.
I just beat the demo and I put 8 hours into the demo doing as much stuff, and Forspoken doesn't come close.
He said this. Let me read that shit to you. Actually, let me post that shit. Let me post that shit in the fucking chat, man. I couldn't believe it.
Is it someone comment or?
No, I'm gonna put here. I'm gonna put it in the space.
Sure. I'm gonna read that. That's wild, man. Like,
Somebody showed him Nibs, right? Shout out to Nibs, right? Nibs went in there and they showed like a reel of Horizon's gameplay where you could all the moves and everything that you can do. Like I can't do that shit on a consistent basis. He goes ahead and says this: if you guys are like cleaning or whatever y'all doing and I can't look at it. His response to the trailer was, or the clips or whatever, he said, is impressive cinematic camera.
Okay, I see.
Cinematic camera angles in Forbidden West, very fancy animations, amazing graphics. The core gameplay loop isn't quite as good as Forspoken, in my opinion, but perhaps Horizon does a better job using those tricks to make you feel quote unquote badass, right? Which is a part of the game. Fair. It takes a nicely edited video to make Horizon look good, in my opinion. I love how they sprinkle, in my opinion, but they're saying the most volatile shit, yo. You know what I'm saying? He says that video took a lot of editing to make it look badass. Forspoken pure gameplay, unedited, just straight, looks so much more fun to me. Maybe it's because I'm an anime fan. Forspoken has the absolute defense. Okay, so, I mean,
Senju, he definitely trolling on this thing. But when did he make this comment though? Was this before Game Awards?
After.
After the Game Awards?
Yeah.
You can actually play the demo right now. And I know he got a PS5 because he told me he bought one for one of his friends. So I know he got one. He literally sent me a DM saying, actually a comment on one of my, the PS5 I got from one of my brothers. He told me he actually bought the console. So I know he has a PS5.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. But even if he's trolling and even if he's an ex-bot or whatever the case is, you hear this a lot from a lot of people, especially a lot of people that like Japanese content.
Yeah.
They will do this thing.
The Forspoken demo, and I've personally found HFW gameplay to be way more versatile.
I'm sorry. What's going on, Miss Jones? Yo, I'm trying to tell you. Look. When I'm seeing people, and I love my Japanese culture and everything like that, I love it. You know what I mean? Well, not my culture, because I'm black, but like I like Japanese culture, I really do. And the thing is, I'm not going to let people get away with shitty ass designs. I'm not. I don't give a fuck what it is. You don't get a pass from me, whether you're Nintendo or whatever the case is. If that shit is old and you're not trying to push gaming, like people talk about Nintendo makes really good games. You don't need graphics. Bitch, play on the NES then. How about that? Play on the NES.
No, damn well they ain't gonna play on that.
You know what I'm saying? Play N64 where your games run at 15 frames a second locked. Play that one if you're going to talk about good gameplay. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm sick of it. You know what I'm saying? And they know who they are that talk like this, man. They'll sit there and play fucking Pokemon and that shit. You falling through the fucking level. You know what I'm saying? The frame rate is fucked up. The gameplay hasn't really progressed. You know what I'm saying? Not even just glitches, just the gameplay didn't progress. But you clapping like a fucking seal because it's a Japanese game? Because you like Japanese culture? Like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Even with Zelda, they talk about some Zelda. Oh my God, it's the best game I've ever played in my life. You could do so much controls, stuff like that. I know a lot of people that like the Japanese culture that would literally, all the flaws that's in that particular game, they call it charming. That's the word that they use is charming. You know what I'm saying? We don't need, like in From Software games, I feel like if they made the mouse moves for NPCs, that would just take the charm out of it. What? Stop it.
Yeah, like you say, Ava has no personality, but Link can't even fucking talk. Like, what the fuck you talking about, bro? Like,
wow.
That nigga growling.
This nigga don't be talk, nigga. What the fuck you doing?
They like it's the way it's the way that he screams is so emotional and how he slices the grass. It just looks so. Shut up. Oh, she talks too much. I don't like the way that Layloy bites her lip when she looks. She's too quiet. She whispers. Why is she talking like this? I don't understand. Yeah, well, I don't like her clothes. Her hair looks stupid. Like, it's always a fucking issue. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I'm going to go back to Callisto Protocol, right? People say that Callisto Protocol, because it matters, right? Because I feel like the reason why when you have a game that looks really good or have really, really high highs, then it highlights anything that's under that. It makes people feel a certain kind of way. If you don't strive to hit those highs, like Nintendo or From Software, right, then everything balances out. You know what I mean? It don't look that bad. You know what I mean? When you're not aiming for the fucking stratosphere, right? But for Callisto Protocol, people complain about the combat, they complain about the storyline, but somehow they have no problem playing Resident Evil.
What's wrong with Resident Evil?
Resident Evil barely has a fucking storyline that makes any kind of cohesive sense.
The storyline's very deep.
What's deep?
The mainline story, not the spin-offs.
I'm talking about the spin-offs. I'm talking about Resident Evil 8 and 7. That's what I'm talking about.
No, Village is deep. 7 and also, like, they're connected.
No, I know they're connected, but what makes you feel like it's deep?
Well, I'm not a hardcore fan of Resident Evil, so I can't fully defend. But I have a friend who actually just loves it, and he explains.
I know people like Tekken's story. That's a frivolous ass story too.
I didn't know Tekken had a story.
Exactly.
All I know is that there's Jen, and
It
then
feels like the PPL who don't understand the way Aloy is. It's because they can't
Hachi
sympathize
and his
with
son,
her
and how he
and
throws son
put
off the freaking
themselves in her
throws son to the volcano in order to make him get stronger, and then
Basically, Kelly.
it's tradition. That's all I know.
That's the whole thing, man. The same thing with Resident Evil. Like, basically, you got this government agency that was trying to make superhumans or whatever the case is, right? Super soldiers, and it failed. Like any other fucking zombie, whatever game. Like, it's the same shit over and over again. And then you have these people that are caught up, and it's weird because you have this situation where you got Leon and you got whatever her name is, whatever the main characters are, right?
It could be Jill.
It could be Jill. They get bit, right? They're like, oh my God, I just got bit, and they are immune to it somehow. But then everybody gonna talk about something. Oh, it was just a game. How come this bitch ain't turning into one of them fucking things? Like, come on, I'm sick of these. They got that. Just shut up. They got them herbs. They got that weed.
Yeah, the perps.
that shit fixed. They put that shit on everything, yo. No, but like.
And all I'm saying is, like, you can't really slander Resident Evil. It's still one of the longest surviving franchises.
That don't matter, man. Just because it's the longest franchise ever, like, come on, man. Like, for instance, I'm gonna say this shit, right? Some of these. That's like saying like what do you call it? Like a kung fu artist that is like 97 years old. Oh, you still can't beat him because he was a 17 black belt. That nigga's old. He's a rap. I'll throw a brick at that bitch.
But no, it's just that Resident Evil always like takes risk and just like, pushes the media forward.
It's hard to say no, I'm not saying that it's bad. What I'm saying is that the same issues that they complain about Callisto Protocol, they seem to put it they put it in their they throw it out when it comes to Resident Evil. You know what I'm saying?
Give me one example though.
Storyline.
Like, start with 8 or 7. Like, story-wise, no, man, Village story is actually good.
Okay, did you play it?
No, I didn't play.
Man, how you gonna sit there and say that the story is good and didn't even play it?
If majority of people,
I don't care what. Majority people said that Elden Ring is the best game on earth. Majority of the people that's out there say that Horizon Forbidden West is mid. Who cares about the majority of the people? No, you can't sit there and say that shit. Where's the storyline? I'm gonna say this. Okay, let me not do storyline, right? You know how people say that I can't move and stuff like that, and I feel like the combat is bad. In Callisto Protocol, like when I'm swinging with the enemies and stuff like that, I find it stupid. Mm-hmm. Well, you can shoot a motherfucker and the werewolves in the head, right? And they don't die. You know what I'm saying? So when people are like, I don't have any options, you really don't have any options in a Resident Evil game because they don't want you to do it. But yet these same people will complain about not having these options or I can't kill these things. They jump into the fray with 17 fucking whatever monsters that they have in there and be like, I can't beat them all. Why? Why could I beat them all? Like, in Resident Evil, they got all these wolves. They give you like 4 bullets, right? That you can't headshot any of them because it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, that must mean I need to run. I just need to run. That's cool. Like, those type of double standards that's annoying to me.
I think because it's always been tradition in Resident Evil that you don't have to kill every zombie or
Well, you know, why not start a new tradition with the Callisto Protocol and you don't have to kill every fucking body? How about that? You can't sit there and say it's a horrible game, you know what I'm saying, because you don't like the way that it plays. That's why I'm saying that the funny thing is, right, and I swear I'll let you guys talk on this one, right? The funny thing is this, right? You have a situation where people complain about new IPs, right? New IPs, they complain about how come no one's doing anything new? Why everybody keep doing the same type of game over and over again? You get that same situation, right? But then when somebody tries to do something new, such as Gravity Rush or anything like that, it doesn't get bought at all by these people, man. These motherfuckers don't buy shit. They only buy shit that's like the traditional shit that they're told to buy. That's my issue. It's one thing to say that I don't like the game. It's another thing to literally say that, no, fuck that shit. The game's horrible. Like, let's use our words here. We're adults and explain to everybody if you're going to say some shit online, why you don't like it.
That's for anything though. Like, look at movies, right? Now all these old directors are like, Marvel movies aren't cinema. This isn't cinema. This isn't, you know what I mean? But then you go to the Cannes Film Festival, those movies get acclaimed by everybody, and you sell like 100,000 fucking tickets in the first week. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way people are. You know what I mean?
I feel you on that one. I feel you. What you gotta say about this, DeAndre?
With the cholesterol situation or the double standards?
Just double standards.
All right. I wish I could, correlate more cholesterol. I can only go off what I've seen and what I hear.
That's why I said double. That's why I said double standards would probably be like a better thing to talk about.
I don't know. It's like, can I at least mention performance, or you don't want to hear that?
No, I could do performance.
All right. So we're gonna compare between Village and Cholesterol. I know this is really unfair because one's a new IP, but you made valid criticisms where in Village people knew how to run away because it was tradition in Resident Evil, but in Cholesterol they complained they couldn't fight 8 people at the same time. So the thing is, Cholesterol for multiplat on 8 different platforms, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and so forth, PC, it had a lot of performance problems that was to the point where it became unplayable on certain platforms. Like, that low frame rate stuff. Even PCs with the 4090 were having serious stutters.
There we go with this digital foundry, but go on, man. The Xbox didn't have...
I asked if you didn't like it.
I'm just saying digital foundry, but like the Xbox Series X didn't have a problem really like that. It just didn't have ray tracing, but if you want to go by that.
Well, that system itself wasn't as well optimized as the PS5 did for the release period. Not just ray tracing, but in the quality mode, which is 30 FPS, it would drop down to like 22, and certain occasions when there was just like either a lot of action or just some cinematic scene would come up, where the PS5 frames would never drop that low. But the thing is, it's like when I look at Village had variety of settings, quality mode, performance mode, and we knew that the Series X itself was still running like 5% faster than the PS5. But overall, that game, no matter what platform you played on, was still running stable enough that way you wouldn't notice massive drops when it happens. The game transitioned real smooth regardless of platform you played on. And with Cholesterol, because they're new studios, the game, it kind of hindered it.
I got two things real quick. One thing, I keep thinking that you're saying cholesterol. You saying Callisto? Oh my God. You saying Callisto. And also, Square is a huge fucking studio, though, man. You can't really compare the fact. And also, the third thing out of there.
Capcom, not Square.
Dropped frames to fucking when Zelda was dropping frames like a goddamn fucking crackhead. Nobody said shit. They gave it Game of the Year. So I don't think performance matters in the industry anymore, right? Because when next year when Zelda come out again, it'll probably get Game of the Year, and it'll be playing at fucking 24 FPS at 720p, and niggas will be clapping and shit. So I don't really know why niggas care about performance.
Not only that, but like not only that, but like you talk about some. It wasn't optimized for this platform and it ran like 5% faster or whatever the case is. Well, guess what? There's a performance mode on both ends, right? So you can get like none of the performance modes just wasn't locked anyway. You know what I mean? On Resident Evil 8 Anywhere or Village. That's number one. Number two, one can say it wasn't optimized for the PS5. That is running 5% slower in certain scenes or whatever the case is. They didn't put their due diligence in. They could have took some polygons away to add more fucking frames in one area, but no bite. That's the problem.
Let me correct you on that though, because like the only time the frame rate actually had a hiccup was in ray trace mode. When you did just plain performance ray trace off between Series X and PS5, they ran at about 60 FPS 99% of the time.
All right, so again, let's go to 30 frames per second. There's frame rate issues with the fucking what do you call it? With the PS5 version too. And if you're talking, see, this is why like this generation of people are so bougie for no reason. Y'all getting pissy for a frame. I can't play this game no more. This is absolutely deplorable. It dropped a frame.
I do agree.
The fuck up.
Too many games are coming out with too many problems. Like this has been like some kind of like epidemic with these games coming out, Pokemon, Callisto, whatever it is. Like all these games keep coming out with all these issues, and it's like even like when Horizon first came out, it had some issues. You know what I mean? Like I was playing God of War earlier, and like this thing, I play like the quality mode, and it's always this shimmering effect if you like move too quickly or whatever. And then
What game?
I cut it down. I mean, I got
Turn off film grain as well.
What game?
God of War.
God of War?
What the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, turn off motion blur and film grain.
And then Freya got caught in the freaking sled. You know that sled, right? She got caught in the sled, and that sled was like going fucking nuts, like vibrating. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo. I mean, it's not a big issue because it doesn't happen a lot, but like a lot of these games are not passing quality control, and I think gamers ourselves are causing it because we're so easy to say, oh, it works on PS5, ha ha ha, your PC version don't work, or it works on PC, ha ha ha, it don't work on consoles. I mean, like we should be like devs in general need to step up their game and stop allowing these games to come out. Let's talk about Cyberpunk. On console, that game was unplayable, and that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like, but it's always this console war stuff, so people don't care as long as their version works, which is causing such a detriment to the actual industry.
Miss Jones, are you in? Miss Jones, are you in here?
And you know, not everyone experiences the same glitches or bugs or even crashes.
What's going on? Hey.
That is true.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So what you gotta say about all this? I know you a Horizon fan, so we see eye to eye and shit.
Cholesterol, so go ahead and speak.
Cholesterol. Yeah, I heard you saying that.
He was like, I have a problem with my cholesterol. I'm like,
I'm so sorry.
Cholesterol protocol. We gotta get it down. The boss is literal cholesterol.
It do look like it though. They look like fatty deposits.
Gotta fight them with like healthy foods.
Throw some carrots at that bitch.
Got like a carrot cannon.
I know. Get it. What do you call it? Get it fucking printed. But yeah, what you gotta say about this situation about Horizon and like specifically the Horizon and the awards?
Man.
Oh.
I mean, shit. They definitely deserved, at least one award, at least one, in my opinion. They were innovative in Forbidden West, and everything was just way better in everything that they did over Zero Dawn. Like the technical sound, like the sounds, the sound design was amazing. I mean, just the graphics, the gameplay, the new weapons. I mean, I was just talking with Jemiah earlier about everything that they've done that was way more innovative than any of the nominees for Game of the Year. To be honest.
Even Elden Ring. Oop.
Even Elden Ring. Yeah. I mean, at least Horizon has some new animations.
But it's not all about animations, though. It's all about,
No.
artistry. It's not about animations. It's a better,
Right,
it's a better game though, because it got Game of the Year, and it got a higher Metacritic.
This is my thing though, right? When did we become a point where we weren't saying that the games that push the industry forward the most should be Game of the Year? It became a popularity contest with the VGAs, which I think is it's sad because now it's just whatever who likes the game the most. Before it was like this game is on the edge of technology, the edge of this, the edge of that. It's pushing everything forward. Now it's just like, well, I like the story or I like the combat. You know what I mean? Like, or I felt good when I beat Millennia. Like, I'm like, come on, bro. Like the games have too many problems that are getting Game of the Year. Like Zelda, like I said, it was freaking dropping frames. There's all kind of nonsense. Elden Ring, Thrash did a whole video on it. You walking back and forth and the grass is popping in and out. And like, it's like, oh, this is supposed to be next gen consoles, next gen games or whatever. And we're not getting that quality that's supposed to make you go, wow, this is actually a next gen game. Like, I'm amazed at this.
So Ms. Jones, what do you got to say about this, right? The people that say that Horizon didn't deserve Game of the Year or any other awards because Elden Ring was just a better game. That's the tribe has spoken, And what do you?
I mean, personally, it's hard to really say anything because I haven't played Elden Ring. You know what I mean? So all I can say is that playing Horizon, if I was comparing it to, how it improved upon Zero Dawn, and I have played God of War, I have played Stray, so those were nominees as well. Comparing those two, especially, God of War, it was, like I said earlier, it was more innovative in, it provided more. It added more to the previous title. I mean, Ragnarok improved, but I don't want to spoil anything just in case that, anyone hasn't really played a bunch of it, but there was maybe one or two things new that they added to the game in general when Forbidden West added, multiple new weapons, new machines, underwater, swimming, you had the
flying.
You could fly. You had the races. You had Machine Strike. You had the arena. You had the fighting pits. I mean, it's a huge fucking list. Can you say any other game that was on the nominee list has as long of a list as Forbidden West does?
And these are not improvements because the system was broken. These are legitimate. There's Zero Dawn can be on its own in general, you know what I'm saying? But this one was such a step up in terms of it felt like a sequel. To me, it was baffling to see people say that Horizon Forbidden West was more of the same. I was like, what the fuck game are you playing? What did I play?
Bro, I can't even understand that.
I was like, what was I playing for the last 200 hours? What was I playing? They're like, oh, the animations is this, and the game feels the same. I had a heated discussion about how different the game was. Even if you take all that stuff away that you mentioned, the swimming, the flying, the melee pitch, the board game, all of that stuff, the fundamental game is completely different. You know what I mean? Because of how you can't just freeze an enemy and just shoot it to death. You gotta mix, you gotta play chemistry with this bitch. You gotta mix fucking purge water with electricity or purge water with frost. You know what I mean? You gotta nullify their effects so they won't fucking So they won't fucking plasma you to death. You also had the situation when you got the status, you could just jump right in the water. Like if you had like the plasma on you, you could do a fucking swine dive right in the fucking water to get that shit off of you. Or if you're on fire, you can do it. You know, it's real RPG stuff. And for all the people that say that they like RPGs, what they don't like is the fact that it's not traditional magic. It doesn't say magic on the box. You know what I'm saying? Because essentially this shit is magic. Plasma and stuff like that is just technology. And like I say, I really feel like there's an issue. They want it to be like the Japanese. It's not even the Japanese game developers' fault. It's just that the fans of it. They want the game to have that Japanese swag. So like if it doesn't have that swag, it's instantly a fucking problem. I see this shit on Twitter all the time where they'll give all these Japanese games a pass. And it first, like somebody, that's not the first time I saw somebody talking about Forspoken being so good. I'm like, this shit look mid as hell, yo. That looked like Infamous with more RPG elements. But like I was looked at as somebody that was mad because it was a person of color for the main character. I'm like, that shit been look like Infamous. I've been said that shit. I'm on record for saying that shit a year ago. You know what I'm saying? But like, just because it's made by a Japanese developer, they had no problem with it. You know, everybody was cool and copacetic with the shit. So, you know, Horizon is a boring game. That's another thing too. What you gotta say about this is the last thing I want to say before I close the space. What you gotta say about people that say that the game is boring? Because that's the thing that really is like, what?
I mean, okay, so Forbidden West gives you the choice to how you want to play. So technically, if you just wanted to use just a bow and arrow, you know, the starter one, you could. And you know how boring that would be if you only used the bow and arrow? Or, you know, you can be more stealth. You can do traps. You can lay bombs down. You can use the spear launcher. You know,
melee.
The sling. Now they have like this almost like it's oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but you know it's like
the techniques, weapon techniques.
The different weapon techniques, the Valor surges, those are awesome. Like it's up to you, you know, and how you play. You can make it as fun as you want, and you can make it as boring as you want. If you're bored, that just tells me you're not a very creative person.
So much
or
facts.
not even though some of those battles, you're fighting for your life, and then you somehow like you back up too much or whatever, and you run into a new group of enemies. You out there just fighting for your life, rolling, flipping. I'm like, how is this game boring to you? Like
they also added verticality to everywhere.
Oh yeah, the climbing, and you can like if you don't want to climb down, you can just use the fucking the glider to climb down. But I guess that's Zelda or whatever. But like, you know what? You mentioned this before, right? When it comes to the options and stuff like that. Again, if he's listening, he probably gonna be pissed. But I know somebody that literally just wanted he didn't like the shooting, so what he ended up doing throughout most of the game, he didn't want to learn the game, right? So he did the machine. He would get the mounts and let the mounts fight for him or distract him while he shoots in the corner.
You can do that.
And you can if you're good. You know what I'm saying? But he was like literally allowing the machines to do it, and you can do all these things, and like you said before, you can make this shit as boring or as fun as you want. You know what I'm saying? So it's just weird that when the game gives you choice, people don't know how to take that choice. When you see
I thought people wanted choices, though.
That's what I thought too. I thought I was on the same page. I thought that everybody wanted choice.
The one thing I think is missing from the game is they need to allow you to get more mount choices. Because I fucking swear to God, I want to fly a Deathwing so fucking bad, bro. Like, come on. If you put that with a bat, like a Batman in this one, like, yo, let Aloy fly your freaking Stormbird. Come on, bro, Gorilla. Like, let us fly a Stormbird instead of goddamn fucking stratosphere. You know what I mean? Like, seeing stars and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to do that. Like, I think the pterodactyl thing is good, but we need more mount variety to me, in my opinion.
And I don't want look. That's cool, but like, look, this is not the shit on Elden Ring.
PS4 held it back for doing that.
That's why.
Cool,
that's why I think, truthfully, like that DLC that's doing. And you know, by the way, all these PlayStation fans that said this shit was mid and they chose like Elden Ring or somebody else. Don't pick up the fucking DLC. Don't do it. I don't want you to play it. Don't play it. I'm a gatekeep. Don't play it. You said it was boring, right? You said that the game was mid, right? You said that Uncharted was better than Horizon. Didn't y'all say that? Y'all treated it like the redheaded stepchild that Aloy is, right? Don't play. Don't pick it up. Sorry, I'm tired of you. No, I can't do that. Please pick it up so I can get a sequel. But the thing is like. But no, like it's just funny because I know what everybody's gonna do. They're gonna do what they did with Gran Turismo, right? They don't even play the game, but they'll use Gran Turismo clips and drive in a straight line and then clip that shit and upload it on Twitter. Oh my God, look at the graphics, and then they uninstall the game. They're gonna end up buying the Burning Shores and not really play that fucking game like that. They're just gonna do it for graphics and keep it moving. Say like, oh, I knew the PS5 was more powerful than the Series X. That's what y'all gonna do. That's what y'all gonna do. Like that's just I don't know. Like I'm so tired of the console war shit, yo. It's affecting everything else. You know, unfortunately, they put a lot of work into this game, and it literally got no awards. I don't care about the awards, but what I care about is when people go out and they say that because people don't have brains anymore. You know what I mean? They listen to what the media tells them. So like that's the only reason why awards it bother me. But it also bothered me on how biased the system is. It was a participation party. They were like, I'm giving too many awards to Sony right now. But, you know, I'm looking at the climate and people really ain't feeling Horizon like that. They were feeling Elden Ring. So, and they were feeling God of War. So let me give you some awards for God of War. Let me let God of War be the darling so I won't get that flack. Let me let Nintendo get Bayonetta. Let me let Xbox get, I don't know, the fucking personality of the year for Phil Spencer, you know, or whatever they were doing. And then it was like, let me get, for third party, let me get Game of the Year to fucking Elden Ring and then close the fucking show. And people take that shit as gospel. And I keep seeing this shit all the time where you have this one situation, right, where people say that reviews don't matter until it matters, right? When their favorite game gets a high review, that's when they go out and start posting Metacritic. The second thing is this. If the game fails because nobody bought it, such as like Drive Club or Days Gone or Gravity Rush, then they want to sit there and talk about something. How come Sony ain't making these different games? Because you never fucking supported it. Y'all was so busy caught up in the Metacritic and reviews instead of actually playing the fucking game or even frame rate. Y'all was so caught up in specs instead of playing the fucking game. Specs and Metacritic, that's what y'all was caught up on. And then you wonder why developers don't really want to fuck with you guys like that, or make the same sequences over and over again, or make like easy ass storyline driven games where you could just follow along, you know, and then keep it fucking moving. That's the problem. It's you guys that do it. Whoever the shoe fits. And that's how I feel about it. I mean, I'm kind of done ranting.
I was just going to include like. I actually buy and play all PlayStation first-party games, man. So
yeah, did you be beating it though?
Yeah.
Lies. Did you beat Gran Turismo?
Which one?
Yeah, which one? Mm-hmm.
Which game you say?
Gran Turismo.
That one I have.
Did you beat it?
It's a racing game, like.
You know you can play.
The first I got was a license. I got the A license. Actually, a B license. And story.
He's like, I Pillow Park, I'm good.
I know.
So it has multiple tiers. You literally start off like, you know, D license, you have to work your way up to S tier license.
No. You think it's the first Gran Turismo game that came out? What are you talking about?
Of course, no, I'm saying it has. You said, oh, there was Parallel Park Call of Day. Like, no, it has.
I was joking, bro.
That was a joke. That's how good, because you know what it is. He felt guilty about it. That's what it is. He's like, damn, I only put like 3 minutes into the game, man.
I didn't put 3 minutes. No.
That's what it is. Like, you know, fine, 10 minutes.
You know what I mean?
Fine, 10 minutes. Fine.
Because the thing is, it's literally a racing game. Like, what is there to be besides you keep playing through like what's in the main story and then you just do multiplayer?
It's not a story-driven game, but you got objectives that you will complete, like any other game. It's a game. You have a beginning, in the middle, and the what? What are you telling me you don't need to play the licenses and do the challenges?
No, I'm not denying that. But when you say
I saw what you said, though, bro.
It's a racing game, like
you do a couple of tracks, you good.
I mean,
how do you justify it being a racing game that really has pretty much no end? Like, you play to get better.
I mean, depends on how many hours you put in it. I'll say that. I'll be fair and say how many hours you put in it. If you put like 3 hours into the game and you're just like, I played a little bit of it, it's too hard for me. Like, that's another thing too. And I'm on the next of the Souls games, people. I'm sorry, yo. They would have sit there. There's a lot of Souls people that sit there and talk about how it's so challenging and you gotta get good and shit like that and all the other stuff, yo. But they have a hard time playing either Horizon or they have a hard time playing like Gran Turismo. Man, it's too hard for them. It's too difficult. You know, but you're playing supposedly, quote unquote, one of the hardest made games out there, which is the Souls game, supposedly, quote unquote. But you have a problem with that. You're not as good as you say you are. See, what it is with the Souls games is pattern based. So long as you understand the pattern, yo, it don't matter what the fuck you do, because you know the pattern. Like a lot of Japanese games, it's all pattern based. You remember it.
My biggest problem with Elden Ring was I've seen people like getting up making. I see this dude like get up and make a sandwich or whatever. Literally, he did the whole thing. And his mimic beat the boss. Like, what? I was like, how is this possible, bro? How is this? Or people just invite their friends over there and they'll drop some weapons off and stuff and they'll just go beat the boss for him. Like, that's not, I don't know. It's not challenging to me when you have your friends come in there and beat the boss for you so you can beat the game. You know what I mean?
It's all about what do you call it? Community, right? And here's the last thing I want to say about this shit. I don't see any other game like that where people are beating a game with a fucking DDR Max touchpad or whatever, footpad. You know what I'm saying?
She's a beast, bro.
I'm not saying that, but it goes to show you the type of gameplay that it is. As long as you understand the patterns, yo, you're pretty much good to go. You gotta practice the patterns or whatever the case is, and maybe that's what people like. But you can't play Horizon with a fucking DDR Max pad and beat that shit like that. You can't do that. That ain't happening.
You know when to dodge and when to parry. Like, it's easy then.
You're invincible.
All you do is know when to dodge, when to parry, and when to strike.
And people talk about something, you just gotta understand it's hard. You just gotta get good. I'm like, is that all y'all gotta say, yo? What happened if I beat the game? You know what I mean? And I platinum the game. What would you tell me then if I had the same grievances? Get good how? Play it faster? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that went from software to do better. You know what I mean? It's not a problem. It's not criticizing it, but like, you need to have a little bit more standards to your fucking game. I see a lot of people look at, and like, I can't say, like, Capcom know what the fuck they're doing, y'all. You know, it's funny because like I always have this running joke with Capcom, but they are trying to push the boundaries and shit like that, and I don't got no problem with them. But there's other developers such as From Software that will keep reusing assets even though they made a shit ton of money and don't want to do anything about it. And the fucking fans, yeah.
Like I'm a From Software fan. And I never played Souls games, but I'm a From Software player from Armored Core, and I can't fucking wait till that game come out next year. I hope they took every Elden Ring dollar and put it in the fucking Armored Core 6, bro. Let's go.
That shit gonna be the fucking truth. Look, it's a CGI trailer. Everybody's like, it's gonna be so good. That shit better look like that shit, yo. It better look just like that shit.
I could have sworn I saw some gameplay in there, like mixed in there. I mean, I was like, I don't know. I couldn't really tell.
I gotta look at it again, and I gotta look at the Tekken shit, by the way, too.
Yeah, I watched it like 10 times. I'm like, is that gameplay? That CGI? Like, it should be gameplay because I don't understand why we got this far into this generation and we can't have games look like those CGI trailers.
At this point, you got the Decima engine putting in work, you got Unreal putting in work, but you know, From Software don't want to use no other engine but that old ass fucking engine for some reason. They don't want to learn anything else. Go ahead, pick up that fucking Unreal UE5, get that Nanite, get that Lumen.
That's my problem also with those Yakuza games and Sega. Like, they stated that, like, Virtual Fighter animation, like, bro, it's like 2022, man. Let it go.
It's not 97. Relax. The same type of shit.
I hope From Software makes like a sequel to Sekiro, man, because I really enjoyed that.
I was hoping that they did that. They showed that off or whatever, and then actually had gameplay. But you know how it is. You know how people be. People be on that frivolous.
Because Sekiro, literally how they built that game was original assets, man.
Yeah, that like it had to be original assets, and even to a degree, like fucking Bloodborne, you had to create different weapons because they function differently. You know what I'm saying? And they actually had a storyline. Like that's the From Software that I like. They actually made a storyline and the protagonist. I mean, you can still keep it RPG, but they actually had cutscenes and all this other shit. Not to say that that makes the game, but they had to do everything from scratch. And to see a brand new IP called Elden Ring and have all that money from the guy that did what was that fucking Game of Thrones, have him do that shit, and for it to look like a regular Souls game, and people be happy about that shit is a problem to me, yo, as a gamer. It's just look, I don't care about like I'll say this shit again for anybody that tries to take. Give a fuck about the awards show necessarily, but it just highlights the issues with the gaming community and just publications and media and influencers. That's my problem. It's just weird to me that, you know, somebody can put so much work in a game and it gets nothing. And somebody can put the bare minimum by reusing like 60-70% of their other IP's games and put it into a new game and package that shit out. And like what? Like it goes for God of War too. Like God of War has a lot of reused shit too. I get it. I get it. You know what I mean? It's a continuation or whatever the case is. But like Guerrilla Games put in a whole bunch of fucking work, and people spit in their face like fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't like Aloy. Like that shit is wild to me, yo. Like you just the stuff. How you gonna have a cross generation game look better than like 95% of the games out there? Like motherfuckers are trying their hardest, and they're struggling to even hit up a cross gen game. Like nigga, you can be paired up with the PS4 version of Horizon, and you still have a fucking formidable fight. Let alone
Right.
5.
I mean, graphics aren't everything, but when you do have a game, especially cross-gen, like Forbidden West, that has graphics and amazing combat, you know, an addicting gameplay loop, is there really an excuse?
There isn't an excuse. You remember how everybody said that the cutscenes look stupid? She looked like a mannequin. They literally went from mannequin to the best facial animations I've ever seen. It was so uncanny. Like that one time when she met that guy in Vegas, and she did that little cute face. You know what I mean? Where she kind of like she was like kneecap maybe. You know, like maybe. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I was like,
I think Cyberpunk has some of the best facial animations.
No.
Like, you play Cyberpunk?
Yeah, I have it, bro. I got it for $5 from GameStop.
Did you beat it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I can't even talk to you.
As many problems that they have with the consoles, I'm having a lot of fun with it again. I'm trying to clear out a lot of these fucking games, like, but I can't get enough of either Horizon and just other games that I like the storyline. I like Horizon. I like the open worldness of the game, but there's certain games I'm going to keep playing. But from what I'm playing, it's amazing in terms of Cyberpunk. They really turned that whole fucking game around, whether it be console or PC. Like, they really are doing their thing. You got to give them credit, yo. They did the whole, what do you call it? No Man's Sky shit.
No Man's Sky.
Yo. They made you, they did the Men in Black flashy thing, yo. That's what they did, yo. They said all that shit, that debacle, that shit never happened.
I think that Burning Shores is going to make people go, okay, Horizon's legit. I think that, like, what Real's about to show these dudes and allow you to do, I think people are going to be like, okay, we got to admit, this is the best game out. You know what I mean?
Like you got to be, like, I swear, I'm going to say this, I'm a black guy. I'm going to say this, it doesn't matter, right? That's how, unless you black, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're a black person, you need more effort to overcome any kind of stereotypes. You can't just be good. You gotta be extremely ridiculously good. And I think that that's what's happening with Horizon. They gotta not just be good. You gotta be like so extraordinary. That's when you get recognized, and people be like, "Oh, I always bought those games. I mean, this one's good, but I've always been a fan." Why you want to hear that shit?
If they increase the speed of the flying and let you use the full power of the PS5, I think that's gonna really bring a lot of people like back into the game or into the game.
If they add aerial combat, man, you know what I'm saying? That shit will be fucking cool.
That would be crazy. Imagine like fighting somebody that using your shield wing to glide to another mount. Nah, let's not even.
Yo, they had. I think it was in the promotional material. I think they had Talana. Talana was on the fucking the shield wing on top of it. Yeah, I think it looked like Talana. Somebody else was on there, and she was taking somebody with her. So you can. I think it's confirmed that you can have somebody on the mount. You know what I mean? On top of it to get there.
That would be crazy.
The fact that they have that.
I'm still ready for that new DLC though.
I was like, please don't do this to me, man. I was like, look, I know, look, Miss Jones, I know she was like Jesus. She was like Jesus.
I was very excited. Very excited.
I was like, ain't no way. I heard it, but I was like, okay, she's gonna go to somewhere. I didn't think Volcano for some reason. But I was like, she's going to go somewhere and it's going to be like a metaphorical, like, you know what I mean, burning shores or whatever. I was like, maybe it's going to be like that. Okay, I get you. No.
You know what? I thought she was going to go home to, what's that girl's name? That one chick you meet?
Which one?
Alba? I thought she was going to go to Alba's,
No, I think Horizon 3 is going to be not in the U.S., man. I think that shit going to be in China, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Alba's from. She's from.
Yeah, I think she's from Japan or China. I think that's where she
definitely have to go somewhere else to create a new map. You know, unless they're going to have you replay the same map.
Well, the Midwest is like ugly, yo. Like it's not that much going on with the Midwest of the United States. So you're going to have to go to another continent altogether. They already did the East and they already did the West. So like, you know. You're going to have to do something different. And I think there's going to be a different... Could you imagine, like, on Next Generation, you be able to see the fucking Great Wall of China? Yo, that will be bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you this. So I remember playing... I can remember this, right, from play... And I'll say this and I'll close down space. I remember playing Tomb Raider 3 and watching the FMVs where she was in the jungle, and I was like, I long to see a jungle realized like this, and got it. I've never seen anything like real time, and it's not just PlayStation. I don't give a fuck if it's PlayStation, Xbox, whatever it is. We're just in a really ridiculous space now in gaming where the stuff that when I was younger, like say for instance, like DK, like Donkey Kong, I remember looking at those lush areas. And we can do that shit way better than what I imagined it to look like. It's fucking wild. It's wild. I'm just like, I'm pretty stoked. And if anybody thinks that the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox or even these next generation like GPUs are really being used, they're not. And I can't wait for Guerrilla Games to get to really utilize these consoles. Then you will really see what I know in the background. Then you'll really see that shit. All that shit, DeAndre, that y'all be looking at the fucking digital foundry. These motherfuckers are not programmers. You know, they understand PC, they understand the lingo, but they're not programmers. I programmed before. And Jemiah did too.
That's good.
And
that's good.
What you'll notice, because I started listening to what they were saying, what you'll notice, when they switch to the different paradigm of how to make game engines based off of these architectures, then you will see. Because they're looking at raw numbers. That's why they're so stumped at the fact that PS5 is doing what it's doing. It's raw numbers that they're looking at. It doesn't make sense to them, and that's how you know of their knowledge. They don't know as much as they would say that they do know. And a lot of the information that they do get is from developers directly. Like they had to go to Epic to understand how Fortnite was being used because they don't know themselves. It's good to understand to a degree, but like, you know what I mean? Like you can't use them as like gospel, you know what I mean? You gotta have proof on top of what they say.
Like I don't just come as gospel, but when I legit want to understand like overall, is this game running with like this type of hardware? It's good to have that foundation of a way of like, yeah, it runs well, or you might run into problems.
My only problem is with digital foundry, especially with PC, is what I need to know your entire build. I didn't know your CPU. I need to know your RAM, how much RAM you got, what motherboard you're using. I didn't know, did you do your updates? Did you do your live? You know what I mean? I need to know everything you're doing. What are you doing right now? Did you update Windows? Did you update DX? Are you using DX12, DX11? There's so many variables with PC, and all you say is PC 3090, but you can have a fucking, 10 8 gigabytes of RAM. You know what I mean? They're using DDR5, DDR4. Like, there's too many things in PC just to be like, this is a PC and this is a de facto setting. This is a de facto standard because my PC is doing this, and I'm gonna use my PC to be the poster child for all PCs, which is not fair for PC.
And they can get paid. And they can get paid off from. They can get paid off from these fucking people anyway to say that this is what it is. I would trust Jeremiah infinitely over Digital Foundry. Like he's about it. He knows what he's talking about because he builds that fucking shit. You know, he knows what he's doing and what he's talking about because he has no stake in it. He has no stake in this shit. They can get paid off and be like, yo, NVIDIA is the best thing, or AMD is the best thing, or whatever the case is. And that's what I think is really going on low key in the background when it comes to them.
Especially when you have like them showing like a PC game in 1080p, like NVIDIA cards specifically do worse in under 4K. They're made to do 4K only. They're not made for you to be playing in fucking 1080p. So I hate when they do 1080p comparisons. Like, why would you compare this NVIDIA card at 1080p when you know for a fact that NVIDIA cards suffer when they're not at 4K? That's it's so many issues with PC comparisons that's why I don't like them.
Look, I'm getting this.
I was gonna mention that they do go in detail of like the type of PC they're using down to the motherboard and RAM and stuff they're using. They're just not going to justify every settings for like the most cheapest build to the mid build. They just come from like at the most expensive level what they can do at the best, and this is what they can do.
I'm looking at this one guy. He actually.
Yeah, this is also a thing. That's the only thing that matters to me is what I enjoy. You're not in here playing this game. You know what I mean? Like, you're not smashing buttons over my shoulder. It's not Ghost. Like, I'm gonna enjoy the game. Awesome. Congratulations, FromSoft. I still think Horizon Forbidden West is the best game that came out this year, period. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm not mad or sad or anything. It's going to win the BAFTA Awards. It's going to win something. You know what I mean? Golden Joystick. This is like 5,000 awards. My biggest problem is, like I keep saying, is just because Jeff Keighley keeps tweeting this shit all year, from January to December, he tweets about the Game Awards. He's making it become the and I don't like that because there was clearly bias. And you can clearly look at the categories, and you can pick all the winners out before you even look at it, because you know he's going to play favorites. He's going to give Nintendo one. He's going to give these guys a couple. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's all politics with this Game Awards. It is nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, Horizon's actually my game of the year. And I loved it. I loved the franchise before it became popular.
Do you play Forbidden West, right?
Yeah, I platinum it twice.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Forbidden West is not perfect. It's, you know, there's no perfect game. I had some issues with some of the climbing. And when I would try to reach for something, you know, I'd move the stick in that direction, and she's supposed to reach out for it, and she wouldn't. It's like there were sometimes she just wouldn't respond to where I wanted to go. That got frustrating in some parts. And then another issue that I had was they did improve upon the spear melee, the light and heavy attack from Zero Dawn, but they also added like combos, right, for it. Yep. And I feel like it could have been better. It was to the point to where I just stopped doing the combo attacks, except for, you know, here and there when I felt like, okay, I know I can execute it, and I know it'll hit, and it'll actually do something for me. And then also because of adding the melee combos, it left me desiring a block and parry system. So there's definitely some issues with the game.
Yeah, they had a parry system. That would actually been cool.
Yeah,
I agree on that one.
That's unfortunate.
The combos that you really need to use it when you fight the other tribe members outside the machines. since they are very versatile enemies, and especially put on the hardest difficulty, man, you really have to use different combos. They have the ability to counter you in the middle of your attack. You're like, what the hell is this? And you get stuck in a whole little cutscene. You can't do nothing. That happened to me. I think I posted on Twitter. I had no clue they could do that.
Yeah, they'll do this thing where they can like throw their chest up in the air and then run at you, and then that's when they'll beat the shit out of you.
Grab you, toss you in the air, and just body slam you. You're like, yo, what the fuck?
They fucking pulled my hair, called me Susie. I was like, oh, hey. I was like, chill.
And there's no counter to it, so it happens. You're just stuck in the animation.
You gotta roll out the way, and when they do the animation, you gotta leave and shit like that. But like, it has its problem. That's what I mean. Like, in order for Guerrilla Games, because it's too high. Some of the marks that they do, like the visual and audio presentation, is so high that everything else it stands out like a sore thumb. So the melee was an issue, for a lot of people because it wasn't as refined as it could be. And then, like, some of the story beats was, like, some of the issues or whatever the case is. And then, like, I'm not going to spoil it for people, but people had an issue with, the type of resolution that they have for the ending. And I'm like, they were like, it doesn't seem realistic. And I'm like, bro, like, you're fighting a fucking robot.
It's a sci-fi game.
You almost forgot, because of the lush environments, it looks so natural. You almost forgot that the wildlife is mostly robots.
The one thing one thing I think was always a big miss for me as far as playing an RPG was the dialogue choices never mattered. And I think that's one thing I think they could have did better.
Oh yeah, I talked about that earlier. They do have it. They need to do that. They need to do that multiple times. Like, I don't know if you played the side quest with Draka or whatever the case is, where the Scalding Spear or whatever the desert area, where it had all those things. Yeah, they need to do that. They need to multiply that by like 20.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do more. That would have made it feel more impactful, like you're impacting the world. I mean, I guess you could also like spare, spoiler alerts and shit. You can spare old girl and shit, when you fight her and shit.
Yeah.
But they needed more. I think they needed more choices to feel like Ava was actually accomplishing something or doing something. And I don't know. I think that would have been a lot better though. Also.
Yeah, I think so too. But there's always a sequel. Like I said, third time's definitely the charm. They listening, because there was a lot of people that were like, yo, I don't like the facial expressions. Yo, I don't like the melee. Yo, I don't like the, this and this. And they addressed everything. They were like, oh, people had a problem with the water. Yeah, let's make that the best thing you ever seen before. They said, oh, people want to go underwater. Yeah, let's make an environment underwater. Like, they made a whole environment underwater and made some of the best swimming underwater areas I've ever fucking played. And I play a lot of games that you
can literally take the underwater and make a different game right now without changing anything. You know what I mean?
That's a whole thing. People don't want to give it the fucking credit it deserves. It's unfortunate that people are acting the way that they act. You know what I mean? They act like spoiled brats, like with the whole frame rate. Not that the game had it, but it's weird. They pick and choose their battles. And like, I believe, truthfully, that it's the highest highs that's making it like that. It's making people overly criticize the game. I guarantee you, if the game was like, if it looked like something like Dying Light 2 graphically, people would have been more like lenient towards it. You know what I mean? They were like, oh man, I see what they're doing. I see you, But when you look that good and you got that swag, everybody's going to try to find a flaw in your shit, yo. They be like, just like when you see a person that's attractive. I mean, they ain't that good looking. I mean, they got like a mole over there. Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean? It just sucks, man. I would just wish people played games instead of politics and played games instead of fucking specs, played games instead of fanboyism. Like, I wish that shit. I wish upon a star, niggas.
I think the spec argument started during the Gen 4 between the PS4 and Xbox One, man.
Yeah.
Y'all talk about specs more than PC dudes. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, PC dudes are going on about their business, yo. They're like, oh, okay, I can do that. But my console can do more. It's punching above its weight. Shut your shit up.
Yeah, I mean, because PC gets everything first. It's like, it's kind of been there, done that. And for console gamers, it was just like,
We never look console gamers would never back in the day. We never gave a fuck. Grand Theft Auto 3 used to look and run like fucking trash, yo. We didn't care.
I remember.
We were like, it's just some of the best games ever. Like fucking like you like Jack and Dexter. I know that shit.
Absolutely.
And I remember like Jack 2 and Jack 3 has atrocious screen tearing, and it was never locked at 60 frames. We didn't give a fuck. We did not care. It's still a little good. It's so good. That's all we said. It's so Naughty Dog good. It's so good. So.
That's true.
Naughty Dog. I forgot about Naughty Dog.
Dang! Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Not like that, but it's like
it's about like that.
All they've been doing is putting out fucking remakes of everything. So it's like,
yeah, don't disrespect Naughty Dog, man.
What do you mean? I have every collection of Nathan Drake. I have the Lost Legacy collection. I mean, the whatever Thieves collection. I have Lost Legacy. I have all these shits.
And Last
of Us 1, 2, Last of Us remake. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like the games. What I'm saying is like they keep doing the same two games. Basically, like let's keep it a stack. Like,
yeah. I get it, but I'm just saying it's like you know why they've been kind of dormant for a while, for a reason. So let them cook, and when they drop
factions,
I'm not factions, they also making a new IP. So let them cook and be dormant for a while, because wherever they drop, it's the only thing that can rival studios like Rockstar. No one else can really rival them.
You crazy as hell. You crazy as hell, man. That's no la da la 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 la.
Okay, yeah, you're right, Santa Monica. That's it.
Man, no. See, nope. Sucker Punch.
Ghost is better than
Sucker Punch, no. I was saying Sonic.
Ghost of Tsushima is like one of the best games released this decade, hands down. Like,
yeah, you wild.
You got a game like that.
You wild out, and don't forget that Naughty Dog takes the easy way out, man. They take the easy way out because you know why? Their easy way is literally fucking linear games, yo. They can easily curate it, an experience where you walk down a fucking tube basically. And have some talking sections. Like everybody else had to make a living, breathing fucking world, and you got people like you that don't like acknowledge that shit. Like, I mean, it's okay instead. You know what I mean? It's alright. It's just that Naughty Dog's so good. So
they are. Like, I'm sorry.
Man,
they've been proving it for like 4 generations in a row.
Man, they lost their touch, man. The old Naughty Dog would have had multiplayer. For fucking The Last of Us Part 2, yo. They took that shit away and made like a lesser game. And y'all motherfuckers is man, y'all some I don't even want to go there. Nope, not going there. But anyway, I'm a end this thing here.
My phone low.
All right, Jemiah. It's over anyway, but guys, thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. I think the recording got fucked up too on the YouTube, but it's okay. Oh well, sub to my fucking channel so I can do better. It's the Listen Therapy. I don't care. Oh, Listen Therapy? The old one? I mean the new one or the old one?
No, your current one. I get notifications on my YouTube when you go live.
Oh, nice. I don't know when you did that. I appreciate it. I can separate the wheat from the chaff and shit like that. You know what I mean? A whole bunch of people was like, I was working with other people. They were like, yo, sub to this dude. He's so good, yo. You know, he got some good points. And the people subbed and they never came back. So fuck y'all. I started again. These are the real people.
You just gotta, to blow up your channel, you just gotta get the sponsorships and.
What sponsorships?
More like learn how to, broaden your channel of like connecting with other people also.
Oh yeah.
Networking and stuff.
Yeah, networking. Yeah.
Yeah, network. Because the guy that knew, Ryan Professional knows Big Cloud. I remember when 4 years ago, I commented on one of his YouTube videos. He just made like his little opinions about video games. And I said he should do a podcast. He started doing it and things. So I've seen him when he first started early on to where he is now.
The problem here is this, yo. They don't like a lot of the people nowadays. They don't like networking with anybody. Like they think their shit don't stink. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
That's true. That's hard.
You know what I mean? I don't get that shit, though. Motherfuckers be having like 800 subscribers. They be like, yo, I'm so good. So I mean, I'll figure it out some way, shape, or form. I appreciate you guys actually, coming to the space and giving your opinion and, staying here for like 2 hours basically. But I know for me, I gotta wash fucking dishes, man. I gotta get prepared the game tonight. That's what that's gonna be. But I appreciate you guys, and you guys take care.